Today on CJ Off-Road, we're going to change up the interior of our JK Wrangler, and I'm going to show you guys how to get it done. So since 2011, Jeep redesigned the interior of the JK Wrangler, and you guys might have seen that there were a couple different editions that actually had different color trim packages. Some of the Rubicons had a lighter silver on the vents, the grab handle, kind of this Jeep section right here, and then other different pieces. I know in the Willys edition too, these were a gloss black and a couple different colors to really just give a nicer accent to the inside of your JK Wrangler and make it a little bit more custom. Now for our Jeep, it's a 2012 Gecko Green two-door. And that Gecko Green is just a gorgeous color. It's on the outside of the vehicle. However, on the inside, once you really get into here, there's not much color. So in the new JLs, there's a ton of color. There's a red on the Rubicon dash and a lot of different colors going on that make it look really clean and nice. So I think we're gonna go through this thing, find basically every piece of plastic trim we can pull off, and give them a nice coat of Gecko Green paint. Now this is gonna require some sanding, some adhesion promotion. I'm gonna walk you through those steps and exactly how to get this done on your Jeep. But let's just start, I guess we'll start pulling off these AC vents because that's the biggest thing. These kind of are in the biggest locations. There's two in the center, two on the outside there. So these come off, and then this trim ring around the edge can actually be popped off too. So we're gonna paint that. I think we'll do the steering wheel. We'll do the door handles, the grab handle, and then we'll maybe even rip into our cluster right here because I saw something on the internet where they painted the inside of that. So I'm gonna see if that's feasible for us. We're gonna pull it all off, show you guys how to get it done. One of the first things we're gonna remove are these vents right here. Now there's 4 of them, and it might seem like there's no way for them to come off. They don't really wanna twist, and this center section here kind of just rotates. These things are actually the easiest to remove, I would say, as soon as you figure out how to do it. So the first thing that you want to do is orient the vent blades in this manner, right like this. Now you're going to feel inside here, right about at this location, there's a small hole. Now we're going to put a small pry bar or a little pick in there into that hole and push downwards. Now you'll feel the hole here and it'll line up with another hole on top. Once I get this pulled out, I'll show you exactly how it looks on the inside. Because if you look in there with a flashlight, you can see it, and just pop it right off. So it'll pop down like that, and then you'll give it a twist to the left, and if it's done right, it will twist. So now that is all the way to the left, what you're gonna do is just pull it straight out towards you. Nice and simple, and it's completely removed. You don't have to damage anything. So this is the hole I was talking about. You basically put that small pick up there and depress on this, and it releases it from its housing in there. Now, if you can see my finger through the hole, I'll rotate the vent blades and my finger actually disappears. So this has to be in the exact location to turn this and be able to actually push down here. If these vent blades are turned just a little bit too much, you can't get anything up in there and turn it. So just line it up, shine a flashlight in there, and then you'll be able to reach all the way through, depress that, and get these pulled off. So one of the funniest things actually is right over here in the door panel. These screws here are actually just for show. So these don't actually hold this in here. It just pops off with a small trim tool. I'm gonna get it into the corner here and just pop it up a little bit. Actually, I don't even need the trim tool. And just pull it up evenly. That way it doesn't crack. These are real bolts right here, so they are removable, and I'm gonna do that right before we paint it. That way we can put it back in and it gives a nice factory finish. You can see on the back side, there's the end there. So we'll get these removed, pop both sides of these off, throw them up on the table. Now we want to get the steering wheel trim off. In order to do so, you're gonna have to remove a few bolts, couple screws, and get everything removed. Now, before you start messing with the steering wheel, please, please, please disconnect your battery. There's a couple videos on the internet that I've watched where I can see all the lights are on the dash and they disconnect their airbag right from the center here. Now, the airbag only takes a little bit of static electricity to actually explode, so if you want to have a good day and not let this blow up in your face, disconnect your battery, please. Do it for me. On either side of the steering wheel, there are 2 10mm bolts that actually hold on the center section here. That is your horn and airbag. So grab a 10mm socket, just reach in there, and we'll get these loosened and removed. And that's what the bolts will look like. So there's a second one on the other side. Make sure you hang on to this if you want to reinstall an airbag into your vehicle. So pretty much a necessity to hang on to these. It's about that time in our install where we start to go to the Mission Impossible level and we remove the airbag from the center section. These things absolutely terrify me, and I believe this is still a Takata airbag inside this Jeep, so we're gonna be very careful to disconnect all the connections in the back. Which wire do I cut? The red one or the blue one? Which do I cut? No. Okay. Easy with it. So right inside here, there are 4 T25 torque spits that you have to remove. Now, there's gonna be 4 up front, and then there's also 2 in the back. So let's start with these and get them all pulled off. Ooh, they are tight. They're really tight. To make things a little bit different, they've also included 2 T25 torque spits on the side of either of these side posts. So we're gonna get those 2 removed. And then this should be able to come out after we disconnect the wiring connections on the back. It also helps to turn the wheel to work on the side at the bottom. That way you have some more space to work. If you get under here with a small little plastic trim removal tool, it'll all start to kind of pop off. It's actually really tight, so you're gonna have to slide it towards the inside, get something under it, and just pop it nice and smoothly. It will go, trust me. Just gotta. Okay. Now behind these, there's wiring connections, so we're gonna get those removed by depressing a small tab. After a little bit of tedious removal, we've got the controls out. Now the last thing we got to do is actually disconnect these on the back. These are going to use 3, it looks like T15 torque spits. We'll get these popped off, and then this is just about ready for paint. To get this center section here removed out of your grab handle, I actually discovered that these also are fake screws here. So I grabbed a 6mm Allen key and just put it in here and then pulled backwards, and it all pops right off. Super simple though. If you don't have anything, you can just go underneath it with a small flathead screwdriver and just get it pulled off. I think this is gonna be the second to last thing we remove. These last little pieces here are gonna be the tweeter covers. We're not gonna mess with our dash. I simply just don't wanna pull apart all of the cluster and everything. I'm worried about the seal on that plastic section and all that fun stuff. So I think the tweeter covers, we'll remove those with a small trim removal tool and paint those, but we're pretty close to getting painting, so I'm excited. To get the tweeter cover removed, all you gotta do is pry underneath it and it'll pull right out towards you. Then there's a small connection on the back for the wiring. Let's see how we get that removed. I think it just pulls right out. Yeah, just pulls right out. Now all I've gotta do is separate the actual speaker from this cover just by using a small pick and pulling these off. Or just pulling it by hand, it looks like it'll work. Okay. All right, so there you have it. Now you got the tweeter cover removed. We're gonna do the same process on the other side and start to get painting. Start to get painting, baby. All right, guys, so the first thing that we're gonna do now that we're on the table and you have everything removed out of your Jeep is use some 600 grit sandpaper to knock the sheen or shine off of any of these plastic trim pieces. Now, if you guys have any experience painting plastic, you know that can be a difficult time, but if you do them the right way, it'll stick and last a long time inside your Jeep, and it'll look like a factory component. So 600 grit sandpaper, we're gonna get everything knocked down and really give it a nice surface to bite onto without going too deep and creating any lines that we have to cover up with some thick coats of paint. So 600 grit sandpaper, a little bit of water here, get this all done up for you guys. So up top here I have the sanded one, and on the bottom is just a standard, and you can see already how much the finish has changed. This bottom one almost has like a sheen on it, so that's what we're trying to knock off in order to make sure that the paint bites properly. So just take your time on this step. The painting's much quicker than this, so just make sure you spend a lot of time on this step of the process. All right guys, everything is sanded, laid out on the table here. I've removed it off of the area where we were sanding. That way all the dust doesn't kick back on. Now I'm gonna use some denatured alcohol to clean these up. You can use acetone or any sort of other cleaning agent. You wanna make sure that the surface is completely dust-free and clean before we use that adhesion promoter. That's a really important step because as you can see on this black steering wheel piece here, there's a lot of dust sitting on there. So to make sure it's properly cleaned, we're gonna do that right now, get everything all cleaned up, let it sit for a little bit, and then we'll go on to that adhesion promoter. So now that we use that denatured alcohol to clean everything up, I'm gonna let this sit and dry for about a half hour. It's good to give some space in between these steps, that way it can fully set and cure, and that there's gonna be no issues with oil or any other debris on all the parts that we're gonna paint. So let this sit for about 30 minutes through the magic of video editing. We're gonna skip to the next step and start with that adhesion promoter. So when you paint plastic, one of the biggest issues with doing so is that there's not enough material for the paint to bite into. It's really synonymous whenever you paint plastic. It's just not as easy. It's painting metal, steel, aluminum, all those materials. It's easier for the paint to bite in and really grab a hold. So you saw we just sanded everything that we're gonna paint, but we're also gonna use this Bulldog adhesion promoter. Now, you can't really find this at your local auto parts store. However, a lot of paint places have it. So if you have anywhere near you that supplies any automotive paint, you can pick it up. It's about 15 bucks a can, and if you're doing all this yourself already, you should probably pick it up because it's gonna give you a better result. So you're already ripped everything apart in your Jeep, and you don't want this stuff to look bad when it's done, so I'd recommend the adhesion promoter. It's a tip that I got, especially from Bill over on our Pony Parts side, who has painted plastic before. This stuff works, so definitely use this. Shake the can for a minute. We're gonna give it a light coat, wait about 5 minutes, give it a second light coat, and then when it's tacky, just mist on the Gecko Green paint. So we're gonna get started, put on the respirator, and just give it a light coat. So we're actually going to be using the Mopar lacquer spray paint. Now this is available at your local Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealership. We personally got ours through Susquehanna Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. So this is the perfect paint match. You basically call, give them your VIN, and they'll give you the exact perfect paint. So you can't get Gecko Green in the store. They don't make it for, you know, a Rust-Oleum or something like that. Go to your dealership. These are about $11 or $12 a can, so we got 2 cans. We'll have way plenty enough for this, so, but that's where you go. Go to the dealership, pick it up for your vehicle, choose your VIN number. It'll be nice and simple. Here it is, guys. Everything has been reassembled. All those little beauty screws have been reinstalled. Everything here on the steering wheel reinstalled. This thing, it looks killer. It's way beyond how well I thought it would look. The green pops really nicely on here. So we're gonna get it installed in the Jeep, basically reverse all the steps that we showed you before, pop everything in, and show you guys the finished product. So just hold on a second. It's almost done. Roll the montage. Well guys, we're all done. Everything has been reinstalled in the Jeep through the use of video magic there. I can't be happier at the way this turned out. I'm so glad we pulled off the steering wheel because this really turned into the focal point of the Jeep. And the accent color is a dead-on match because it's a Mopar part. I'm extremely happy with this. I can't really describe it to you guys, but if you have a JK 2011 or newer with the same interior as this, spend a day and just do this for yourself. You know, now if you don't feel like ripping everything apart and painting it exactly like we did, which I know it is an undertaking, it takes a little bit of time to do. I'd give it about 3 or 4 hours using a heat gun in between coats to flash and make sure that it sits properly. You can go on CJ Pony Parts and check out, we have some 3M adhesive stick-on pieces, and they'll go over sections like this on the steering wheel, and they just pop on. So those will just stick on over top. It takes like 10 minutes to install, and it still gives it a pretty cool look. So be sure to check that out. Until next time, guys, I really hope that you try this on your JK. I think it looks awesome. I'll see you guys out on the trail.